If you don't know me, my name is Molly Deutschbein, and this yoga practice is made for you to either do the whole thing, or this is the specific purpose of the practice, is if there are parts you cannot do, whether it's the entire thing or parts of the thing, my hope is to elicit enough of your senses that your brain thinks that you're actually doing the practice. There are athletes, musicians, other people who have body-based practices that they must do, pieces they're trying to learn, routines they're trying to learn, skills that they're trying to keep in their bodies. They will do those things before they perform. They will do those things when they can't move their bodies or get to the appropriate equipment. They'll go over it in their head. There are times as yogis when we're unable to move in the way that we want to. This particular practice is meant for an experienced yoga practitioner, a yogi, someone who knows these very basic poses, has the sense memory in their bodies to tap into. And the purpose of this is to give you an opportunity to feel like you're doing a practice without having to do the practice, and hopefully achieving what a yoga practice typically does, which is letting you move your body or getting the neural input of moving your body so that you can, in the end, settle your central nervous system, go into shavasana, meditate, whatever that is. So my experiment is to see if this is a satisfying experience or if it's really hard for someone who is unable to physically practice, if it's not satisfying for them, even though it might be good for them, right? Sometimes something is good for us and it's not satisfying. So anyway, here we are in my home yoga space. I do have 2 cats and a dog who might pay us a visit. This is our new cat, Kitty Princess. So they'll be coming and going. But let's get started, shall we? Regardless of whether you can actually sit, I invite you to imagine, to either get into a sitting posture or to imagine that you are sitting and feel the weight of your body, of your torso, settling in to your sit bones. As you inhale and exhale, as you're breathing in through your nose, really feel what it's like to have the air moving up through your nostrils and into your sinuses, swirled around by those lovely turbinators, and then sent down your windpipe, your trachea, into your lungs. And as you breathe out, you can breathe out through your mouth. Nice long out breath. Or you can breathe out through your nose. You can add a little ujjayi breath in the back of your throat if that feels good. So again, breathing in through the nose, out through your nose, your mouth, whichever feels more comfortable. And if you don't have the ability to choose how you're breathing or when you're breathing, just imagine. Bring your senses back to when you could feel yourself bringing the air up through your nostrils. How your lungs fill and your chest expands. What it's like when you breathe out and your chest contracts, your rib cage contracts, your belly contracts, and then everything fills back up again. And as I said, if any of these parts are unavailable to you, that's okay. See if you can remember what it felt like to breathe in and have your lungs expand your rib cage out. 360 degrees. Feel the breath, fill the back of your rib cage. And as you breathe out, how that settles your whole body, how your shoulders come down. Remembering that felt sense of your shoulders just melting with that out breath. And it's the breathing in and breathing out. Bring that felt sense of your hands on your knees, palms upturned. Notice what it's like to lengthen the back of your neck, to imagine the back of your neck getting very long as your spine becomes more in line with your center of gravity, feeling your head, the weight of your head on your spine. Notice what it feels like to have the curve of your thoracic spine, the curve in the opposite direction of your lumbar spine, how as you tune into those curves, your spine actually lengthens and you grow taller. How the back of your neck gets longer and the top of your head. Imagine that it is being pulled up into the stars. And whether it is reality or not, you might even be laying down, that's okay. Feel the length of your spine, what it was like to allow your spine to lengthen, how that changes what you feel and how your ribs attach to your spine. What it feels like as your ribs expand and then come back again, your breath. How your belly expands and then moves back in again. See if you can remember what it was like to feel that opening, that expansion in the back of your body, all along your spine and into your lumbar spine and even into your sacrum. The back of your pelvis, can you feel that expand as you breathe in? Again, you may not feel it with your actual body, that's okay, but can you remember a time or can you imagine that expansion? And continue to allow yourself to breathe. And then I'd like you to imagine your head slowly falling forward. And if you can move your head forward slowly until your chin comes down as far as it is comfortable. And then move your right ear over to your right shoulder. This may not be mirrored to you on the video. I can't tell my right from my left, so I don't mirror things. But imagine your right ear coming down towards your right shoulder. You can even bring your right hand up on your head. Give it a nice little pull here. Again, breathing, noticing how that changes your rib cage. And if you're using your mind to imagine this, remember what it felt like to have your fingertips on your skull, ever gently pressing on your skull as the left side of your neck would lengthen. Your left shoulder moving away from the top of your head. Then release your hand, keeping your right ear towards your right shoulder. Imagine now that you're ever so slowly moving your neck so that your head is coming back, 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 back. Extending backwards, bring your chin up to the ceiling. Remember what it felt like to have your chin stretching up so that your front part of your neck and the skin and the muscle, the platysmal muscles are getting a nice stretch, and then slowly coming around so that your left ear is moving down towards your left shoulder. Keep that left shoulder soft. Bringing your left hand up. Again, maybe you can't use this arm. That's okay. Remember what it was like to press ever so gently on the top of your head and pull your right ear away from your right shoulder while your left ear is moving towards your left shoulder. Oh, that stretch down into the top of your arm. And again, breathing in and out. And with your next out breath, imagine, bring your left arm down, and now imagine your chin moving forward and around so that it is once again resting on your chest. A couple of nice long out breaths here. And we're going to go back in the other direction. Imagine your chin coming down. Feel it touching top of your sternum and rotating around to the left so that your left ear is moving towards your left shoulder. Let that left shoulder drop. Left ear moving down. Remember what that felt like to have your shoulder dropping but your ear is moving to it. That left arm coming up so your left hand can stretch that right side. Right ear moving away from right shoulder moving down towards the ground. There you go, nice long out breath. In breath, and then with your next out breath, bringing that left arm down and imagining or moving your neck back so that your head is all the way extended. Sternum down. Remember what it was like, what it felt like to allow your sternum to be wide open while your head was rolling backwards, your chin moving up towards the ceiling, all that great platysmal stretching again, and then rolling over so that your right ear is headed towards your right shoulder, lifting that right arm. Remember that feeling of your fingers lightly on your head, gently pulling the left shoulder and the left chin away from each other. Nice stretch there. Nice breath in, nice breath out. With your next out breath, bring your arm down. Remember what that felt like again? To be sitting tall with a nice long neck. Oh, I forgot to have you roll your neck back around again. Rolling your neck back around to the front, and then lifting your head and really letting the back of your neck be long while your chin stays nice and neutral above this beautiful wide open chest. Take a moment. Remember what it felt like to have your sternum rising up while your ribs were falling down, cascading down away from your clavicles, settling so beautifully from their anchors on your spine, opening and closing with your breath. How fantastic that feels. That sensation is still available to you. And now holding that length along your spine and up and through the top of your head, what I invite you to do now is to come into a cat-cow. I'm going to invite you to get onto all fours. And again, using your imagination, if this movement is not available to you, if you're on bed rest or you've got a part of you that means there's just no way you can get into this shape, it's okay, because we can remember what it was like to feel our hands on the floor, right? So we have a nice flat back and we're feeling into our fingertips. My fingers are spread wide, and what I invite you to do now is remember what it felt like to have your pinky press into the mat, and then your ring finger, your middle finger, your index finger, and your thumbs. What that feels like, just to allow, like gecko fingers, what it feels like to have those finger pads really attached to the mat. To feel the weight of your body moving down from your shoulders and into your hands. And again, if this is a movement that's not available to you, that's okay. That is fine. You can imagine this while you're up on bolsters, or while you're just sitting like this, or while you're standing, or while you're sitting, or whatever it is that you're doing. The point of this practice is just to remember what these sensations were. So now that you've got this really lovely gecko hand suction cupped to the mat, bring your awareness to your knees and to your feet, and what it feels like to have weight in these four places. Your hands, both your knees, and to also be aware of the sensation of the top of your foot on the mat. Now what I'd like you to remember with your proprioceptive awareness is what it was like to feel into your right knee, to put your weight slightly into the right knee, and then to imagine what it's like to put it slightly into the left, and then see if you can make the weight even between your two knees, and then a quarter each. One hand, second hand, one knee, second knee, a perfect little tabletop, right? And then from there, we're going to push up into cat by making our shoulders as long as possible, bringing our thoracic spine up as much as possible, letting the head drop, doing a little pelvic tilt, bringing the pelvis in, and then we're going to reverse the process. I'm going to let my pelvis move up, let my lumbar and thoracic spine drop down, let my chest come down between my arms. Now I'm extending my neck and my head, and we're in cow. Imagine, use your imagination to remember what this felt like to have your back completely bowed, and then starting with your head, what it was like to drop your head, let your neck come back into flexion, bringing that the back up, the shoulders lengthening, the spine coming into flexion, the lumbar spine coming into as much flexion as possible, and the sacrum touching really good. So now we're in a full-on cat. What does that feel like? Do you remember what that felt like? To do it so much that you got a nice stretch out of it and then come back the other way again. And imagine yourself doing these cat-cows or spinal waves, whichever ones you wanted to do. and feeling this incredible movement that you've had in the past, maybe going back toward again, maybe trying to preserve as much of it as possible, what it feels like for each one of those vertebrae to be moving in relationship to the other. All of those joints. There are 4 rib joints on each vertebrae. So we've got all the facets and the joints of the vertebrae against each other, and then the ones with the ribs. There's so much glorious movement in every one of your vertebrae. So you can imagine, if you like, one or a set of them. Visualize those vertebrae moving fluidly, and then what it's like for those the discs, those nice cartilaginous pillows between the heads of the vertebrae, how they get this lovely massaging and pumping as we do this movement of our spine. So if you have a place in your back where you know you have an issue with that, you can pick that spot and just imagine you're giving that disc a lovely little massage as we do our cat-cows. Okay. I'm feeling ready to move on a little bit. Before I do, though, imagine that you are going side to side, giving your torso a little stretch, side to side in this tabletop position, back and forth. What that feels like to move your shoulders and your hips independently. And when you feel ready, we'll move from our tabletop. It's December in Rochester, so we have wool socks and slippers that have to come off before we go into down dog. So now from your tabletop, in your mind's eyes, tuck your toes and imagine yourself coming up into a down dog. This is our first down dog. So we're just kind of wiggling around and pumping our feet. And in your imagination, as you pushed up and you felt the strength of your arms, feel the strength of your arms going down into the mat again. You know that lovely gecko finger sensation that we had before? Come back to that gecko sensation and imagine that you're pushing into your palms and really resting into these arms that you have. And then maybe, like me, you need to adjust your feet back a little bit. I can't get my feet all the way down. Sometimes I imagine the feeling of a little bolster underneath them. Sometimes I put one there. It's totally up to you. And then imagine that your sit bones are moving up towards the sky and your spine is dropping down and your head is coming between your arms and you're making this beautiful right angle of your down dog. So from a sensation point of view, pushing into your hands, feeling your gecko fingers, feeling your feet on the floor, check in with your toes, just like we did with our fingers. Are all your toes? Can you remember what it was like to have distinctly your pinky toe, and then your little ring finger toe, and your middle toe, and your index toe, and your big toe? All of them, feeling all of them pressing into the mat. And then your sit bones moving up towards the stars, and your chest settling in between your arms. Feel what that's like. Then take a little break by coming down and doing a child's pose. Just rest into that. And remember what it felt like to go from this really active down dog we have a restful down dog, but then we also have an active down dog, and what I was asking for was more of an active down dog. So that when we come into child pose, what I'd like you to remember is that feeling where you've been like trying to push up with your sit bones, your ischial tuberosities, and then when you come into child pose, it's like whew, letting it all settle and sit. And then I'd like you to imagine what it's like. Here we are with our gecko fingers. We're going to come up into down dog again. We're going to feel pushing into the mat. We're going to feel our feet moving towards the mat. We're going to feel our ischial tuberosities. And then again, we're just going to see if you can look underneath your right shoulder. And then remember what it's like to turn and look under your left shoulder. And a little bit of a side to side with that too. How yummy that feels to let the side of your body stretch. Feel in your mind, feel with your senses what it was like to move your hip away from your shoulder and your shoulder away from your hip. And then slowly, slowly walking up towards your hands. And then moving into Tadasana. Just breathe. So, as we're using our sense to just feel into this practice, what I invite you to do now is to feel what it's like to really be on your feet and in your feet. Feel what it's like to have the weight of your body stacked on your spine, stacked on your hips, and just be here. And remember with your sensory memory what it was like to feel the floor with your entire foot, the little pads of your toes, the balls of your feet, the ridge along the outside of your foot, and your heel. Feel all of your weight in those foot places. And then what it feels like to feel like you're drawing energy up out of the ground, through those attachments on the bottom of your feet, up through your spine, and then what it is like to feel that energy moving up through your head and out towards the sky. And if we're standing in Tadasana with our arms outreached, how it feels like we're literally offering that up, and at the same time, remember with your body what it felt like in each of your fingers to have that energy coming back down through your fingers, back down through your arms, back down through your spine, back down through your pelvis, and down your legs into your feet. How you can be, even in your imagination, as sturdy as a mountain here. Then I invite you to imagine bending at your hips and coming into an easy forward fold. I'm going to use blocks. For me, because this is always my experience, blocks are going to be part of my sensory experience. I'm going to feel the blocks under my hands. Again, as my ischial tuberosities are moving up towards the ceiling, energy is moving down my back towards the floor. I'm going to let my head hang. I'm just going to feel what that's like, to allow my spine to be soft and flowing, my legs very active
keeping me balanced. A little bit of leaning on my blocks.
And now I'm going to come halfway to lift. Remember what that felt like for you. I'm having a flat back now. I can have my hands down if you are used to your hands being down, that you can remember them as being down, or you can remember them being on your knees or on your shins. And then we're going to come down into plank. One leg back and then the other. And again, nice gecko hands. Remember what that felt like to have good gecko hands? And in plank, we're moving the energy down our body, out through our heels, even though our heels aren't on the ground. We have a really steady place for our knees. And then remember how you used to lower yourself. Maybe you came down into a full chaturanga, and then down and back up again into cobra. What that felt like to have your arms close and working hard as you lowered your body, and then what it was like to arch back. Get a nice little back bend. Feeling into that back bend. And then pushing up and back into our down dog again. Remembering your gecko fingers, how solid your feet are. Ischial tuberosity is moving up towards the ceiling. Strengthen your arms, moving down into the floor. And this is more of a restful down dog. It's like, oh, do you remember that feeling of, okay, I made it back to down dog. I'm just going to stay here for a moment. Yeah. And then walking slowly back up to our forward fold, our Uttanasana. See if you can remember. Do you remember what it was like to really think about where was my lumbar spine here? It's all crunchy up, kind of folded yucky, or were you able to keep your sacrum a little more cup-like? And then drop and fold. Now from here, we're going to imagine that our right leg is going to stay where it is and be really grounded. Put our hands on the floor, move our left leg back. So now we're in a low lunge. Remember your low lunge. Hands on the floor, both of your feet. Sturdy, strong. Strong bend, nice right angle here on that right leg. What it feels like to really be attached, and then come up, raising yourself up, how that felt, and then bringing your arms up into a warrior one and settling into it. Feeling where, when you do your warrior one, where are your arms? Are they out here? Are they back behind your head? Are you arching? Sometimes a little bit of a back bend is appropriate in warrior one. Are your arms back by your ears? Are your hands moving up towards the ceiling? Dropping your pelvis down, keeping that nice bend in your knee. And then imagine, this is one of my favorite things, as you come from warrior one to warrior two, you shift that back foot, keep the right one pointing straight ahead like it was, and then bringing, ooh, remember that feeling of your arms just stretching out as far as they could go. Stretch, stretch, stretch out towards the horizon. So, so strong. And then maintaining that stretching feeling. Remember what it was like to flip your right palm up and then arch back and down with your hand along your left leg. Now we're going to windmill. Remember what it was like to windmill? Woohoo! Our arms down, back around our knee again. There we go. And then bring that left leg back up so that we're back in our Uttanasana. We're just going to hang here restfully, making sure our lower spine is nicely cupped. Remember that feeling of your ischial tuberosities moving up, your sacrum feels really comfortable. The rest of you can go forward. Now keeping the left leg planted and super secure, we're going to put our arms down again. Now we're going to go into a low lunge with our right leg back. Remember what that felt like? Where you've got your weight in your left foot. You've got a beautiful right angle at your knee. Your right toes planted on the mat. And then we're going to come up, raising up our torso. And this time I think what I'll do is I'll invite us to make a little platform with our back foot if that's comfortable for you. And raise our arms up. If you're more comfortable thinking about your warrior one with your foot like a crescent lunge, that's fine. Or you can do it this way. Whichever one is the way you're used to doing it. But again, really settling. Remember that feeling of settling into this leg and allowing this leg to stretch. So your left leg, you are settling on in there. Your right leg is extending, and then we move that extension all the way up through our arms. And then we take that extension through our arms and we turn. So we're in a warrior two. All that energy continues to flow out our arms, through our fingertips. And again, remembering that sensation of planting down through that left foot, planting the outside edge of the right foot, and then flipping our left palm, coming into a reverse warrior. There we go. And this time, we're going to imagine that windmill because it's so satisfying. Ooh, all the way back down. Then we're going to pivot. So we're in a wide leg forward fold here. Facing the front of the mat. Again, keeping that curve, the nice cuppy feeling in our sacrum. Coming down. Now, your wide-legged forward fold might look very different from mine. That's okay. Maybe you're down. You could go down on your your forearms, or maybe you could put your head down. Feel into your forward fold, your wide-legged forward fold. And that feeling of rest in that forward fold. Noticing the adductors on the inside of your leg. Noticing how when your feet are both facing forward and firmly planted on the mat, how that feels, how stable this is. And this lovely stretch that you would get in your adductors when you knew you had it just right. And again, the breath. Noticing when we combine all of this with our breath, what that does. Can we feel ourselves breathing with our entire spine in and out the top of our heads? And now let's do a little cool down and bring yourself down onto the floor. We'll just do a little restful seated forward fold. Now, I'd like you to remember your favorite forward fold. Maybe your favorite forward fold is just grabbing a strap and putting it around your feet and having a really nice fold that way. Maybe you like to fold over a blanket and just kind of rest there like that. But again, feeling the connection from your hands and your feet, your spine. Remembering that feeling of what it was like to stretch from your heels all the way up to your ischial tuberosities, and then to feel all of those muscles along the side of your spine and your rib cage, all of them lengthening and creating more space. So every time you have an inhale, it's like your lung capacity increases, and then you exhale, everything settles. There we go. And now, let's all take a nice happy baby. So, in your sense memory, remember yourself rolling back onto your back, connecting your hands to your feet, and then maybe rolling back and forth. So as you're remembering the sensation of your happy baby, I really encourage you to kind of tap into that joyful piece of the happy baby. Like, this is a playful thing. This is the body moving back and forth and really enjoying its ability to massage itself, to rub the spine, to glory in the shape that we make of the happy baby. What it's like to wrap your hands around your feet, play with your toes. And when you feel ready, I invite you to relax into Shavasana. Whether you're in a recliner, or you're laying in a bed, or you're on your side, however you can prop yourself so that you feel comfortable letting go as much as possible. If there are sensations that you're experiencing that make that difficult, I invite you to welcome them and just be with them. Be with them in your Shavasana. In your mind's eye, I invite you to imagine that you have allies, characters, shapes, animated figures, who knows what, who could come and prop any part of you that it feels like it needs more bolstering or support. And then again, bringing to the best of your ability your imagination back to your breath and what it's like to have your body settle with every out-breath, breathing in and out, and allowing yourself to be restful and settled. I invite you to stay in that settled place for as long as you would like. Thank you for spending time.